What if I told you there was a way you could bet on sports, bet on the exact opposite outcomes, and still not lose any of your bets? Sounds like a fantasy, sounds like a pipe dream, but that is the strategy that I am going to explain in this video. And that strategy is called middle betting. So in this video, I am going to answer the question of what is middle betting, why do middles even exist in sports betting, and what are the best middle betting strategies out there. As for me, my name is Matt Modi. I'm a content producer and betting analyst for oddsjam.com. In a previous life, my full-time job was as a data analyst, just a typical 9-to-5 job, but I have found a home at OddsJam, mixing the skills I learned of being a data analyst with my passion, which is sports and sports betting. So it's been a wonderful adventure for me being at OddsJam for over a year. For those of you watching this video, I would appreciate if you could like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And then if you want to find me on social media, you can at my Twitter handle that is on the screen here. It's also linked in the description of the video and in the pinned comment as well. So, middle betting. What exactly is it? Well, if I move my camera here for a second, it's a way where you can bet both sides of the same exact game, opposite outcomes, but possibly not lose one side and possibly win both bets, which I know sounds very confusing and probably doesn't make a ton of sense. So I'm going to walk you through an example of a middle bet. And this is taken directly from the OddsJam middles betting tool. So that when you go to the OddsJam middles betting tool, you're going to see something similar to this. And I'll walk you through that at the very end. But the play here, we are looking at the Los Angeles Lakers versus the Memphis Grizzlies. The market is right under here. It's third quarter total points. And the play, so on one side, we are betting over 59.5 third quarter total points. We are betting this for plus 110 odds at FanDuel. And for this example, I have risked $100. Obviously, you don't have to risk $100. You could risk less. You could risk more. And when I say risk, I mean that is the amount of money that you are actually placing on the bet itself. That's just a sports betting terminology. You can also view it as stake, right? The amount you are staking on a certain side if risk sounds too scary, because there is no risk in middle betting, which I will explain. But on one side, we are betting on the over 59.5. We are staking $100. And then on the opposite side, we are betting on under 60. We are betting this at minus 110 odds. And we are staking $110 on this one. So right off the bat, over 59.5 and under 60. The middle comes into play if the total lands at exactly 60. If that happens, the information is detailed on the left here if you want to read it. But essentially what happens is, if the total lands at exactly 60, you will have won your bet of over 59.5. And since we staked $100, we would have profited $110, right? Because of the plus 110 odds. So we would get a total payout into our FanDuel account of $210. 110 of that would be profit, right? On the other side, this bet pushes. Your under 60 bet pushes. So when a bet pushes in sports betting, you just get your bet refunded. So we initially staked $110. We get that $110 back into our Circa Sportsbook account. So if you look at the holistic view, if the total lands at exactly 60, we would have profited $110. So yes, the total landing at exactly 60, not the most likely thing in the world. So what happens if there is any other scenario in the entire world? The total lands at over 61 or it lands at 59 and below. What happens then? As it says here, you break even. There is a 0% chance in which you lose money with this specific outcome. So when you're middle betting, you're betting on opposite sides of the same outcome, right? You're betting on an over and an under in the same game. You're betting on both teams to cover the spread. But because of the way the lines are being posted at the different sports books, there is a scenario in which you do not lose either bet, and there is no scenario in which you lose money. The worst case scenario of this example is that you break even. So let's walk through that math. All right, let's pretend for the first example, 61 points are scored. Number one, you're frustrated. You were so close to getting 60. If just one free throw was missed in that third quarter, we are getting at 60. But nonetheless, total lands at exactly 61. So our over 59 bet hits. So we have staked $100 at plus 110 odds. We get a total payout of 210, a total profit of 110. But you are under 60 bet loses. So we lose that initial stake of 110. So we profit 110 and we lose 110. 110 minus 110 equals 0. So you break even. You do not lose any money. You don't win money. You don't lose money. So let's pretend the other example happens. It lands at exactly 59. Again, you're frustrated. If someone just didn't miss that free throw, your middle hits. But that's not what happened. So in this case, in this example, you are under 60 hits. You staked $110 at minus 110 odds for a profit of $100. This bet hits. The other side of this bet loses. So you lose your stake of $100. So you profit $100 and you lose $100. 100 minus 100 equals 0. There is no scenario here in which you lose money. Now, right off the bat, this is just one example of a possible type of middle. There are also middle examples where you could literally win both bets. So let's pretend that Circa had this priced at 60.5 instead of 60. Well, if the total in this example lands at exactly 60, you will actually have won both of your bets. But that's unlikely. The more common example of a middle is this exact one where one wins and one pushes. It's rare to find an example of where both can win. It happens, not as common as this type. So that's what middle betting is, right? You're betting on literally both sides of the same exact prop. So an over and an under, both teams to cover the spread, whatever it may be. And if it lands on exactly one of the totals, you profit. If any other scenario happens, you at a minimum break even. That's what middle betting is. So the next question that people ask me is like, why does this even exist? Like, how is there possibly a scenario in which you could take advantage of this type of situation, right? Like, why is there ever going to be a situation where you can bet on literally opposite outcomes, an over and an under, and at a minimum break even with the possibility of winning both bets, or at least one of the bets? And the answer is just because of market inefficiencies. So when it comes to sports betting, majority of sports books come to pricing odds independently, right? Like they have their own algorithm, their own model, their own whatever of pricing odds. So because of that, situations can arise where two sports books are so misaligned that they can be taken advantage of. And one of these situations is where their lines are so misaligned, right? Their totals or spreads are so misaligned that you can take advantage of both of these sports books. You have to think about it. Sports betting, each individual sports book is almost like their own financial institution, right? Majority of the time, how they price their odds is just supply and demand. And sports books are just going to accept money differently. So if FanDuel, for whatever reason, has more money come in on the over, they're going to change their pricing. If another sports book, for whatever reason, has more money come in on the under, they're going to change their pricing to reflect that. And when that happens, inefficiencies are created. And a possible example of an inefficiency is a middle. So why do they exist? It's literally just because all sportsbooks come to pricing odds differently. And because of that fact, situations arise where we can take advantage of them. That's pretty much it. That's kind of the whole concept of profitable sports betting in general, is taking advantage of mispriced odds. So the next one thing I want to talk about here are just middle betting strategies. Now for me, I can only tell you what my personal strategy is. I only play middles that are at a 0% hold or above, nothing negative. And what I mean by that is if you go to the middles betting tool on OddsJam, you see that there is a scenario where there are negative percents. In these scenarios, there actually is a chance that you could lose money. But I personally do not play these types of examples. I only play examples where at a minimum, this percent is 0. Now, luckily, you can filter, like you can literally filter for the percent to be at 0 or above. So that way, middle opportunities that are at 0% and above are the only types that show up on the screen here. So that's what I mean when I say I only play anything that are 0% and above. Personally, I don't think it's worth taking a middle bet if there is a possible chance that you could lose money. That's just my personal strategy. I'm not saying that that is the correct way or that is the only way that you can place a middle bet. That's just my personal strategy. But another type of strategy, they can also be used as a low hold. So for those of you that aren't familiar with what a low hold is, I would definitely recommend researching that. I actually have a video on my YouTube channel detailing what low holds are and different low hold strategies. Essentially, they're markets with 0% holds. So if we go back to this example, this would be an example of a 0% hold. Essentially, if any other scenario than 60 points are scored, you will break even. So you're essentially moving money between accounts. So low holds are a way that you can take advantage of like deposit or playthrough bonuses. Essentially, all these is a sportsbook will give you money if you play a certain amount. So let's pretend you play $1,000 on DraftKings and they give you $200. Well, one strategy is to place your bet on DraftKings on a middle and possibly not lose any of your bets, but at a minimum, break even. But if that happens and you break even, you get the bonus that DraftKings is offering. So those are different middle betting strategies. Personally, I don't think it's worth playing anything negative. And if you have some sort of situation where you have a deposit or playthrough bonus, playing one with a 0% hold could be a good idea to take advantage. And I already showed you, but this is what the middle page looks like on OddsJam. You can filter for all of these different types of filters, right? Percentage, sportsbook, sport, league, market, date range, game, and minimum and maximum odds. And this is what it looks like. So if you click the calculator here, it pulls up the screenshot from this slide here, right? It's just pulled from clicking this calculator button. But the situation of what a middle is detailed here. So here are a couple examples where there's actually a positive middle, right? This is between BetMGM and between DraftKings. And what this positive situation means is that you're actually making money if you place this middle bet. So let's pretend we place $275 to profit 100 on BetMGM. On the other side of it, you would place you'd place $98.68 on DraftKings. And if exactly 154 points are scored, you would win your BetMGM bet. So you would profit the $100 here. You would get this refunded. But if any other outcome occurs, either 155 or higher or 153 and below, you're actually still making money. You're making $1.32. So there are going to be middle examples where it's almost as an arbitrage, which if you're unfamiliar, arbitrage is literally this situation I just explained where you place a bet on both sides and you guarantee profit. So there's also examples where you can arbitrage middle opportunities as well. So you, again, like this exact example, a situation arises where you could still not lose both sides. You could still push one side, in this case, the under 154, but you could still profit if any other scenario happens. So I definitely recommend checking out the middle betting tool on OddsJam. It's an incredibly profitable betting strategy. There's no scenario in the situations that I have described where you're losing money and your potential profits can be pretty high. So hopefully this video made sense. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can comment on the video, can hit me up on Twitter at my Twitter handle that I mentioned on the screen here. Also, a link for it in the description of the video. Other than that, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and that's it. So I appreciate everybody watching, and have a good one.